This is the story that not many people know. How I survived the constant attacks of a narcissist. I always knew something was wrong with our relationship, but as a young child, I think I ignored a lot of the bad stuff so I could have this fantasy in my head of a perfect family. Almost every weekend when everyone was home, you could hear my parents yelling or crying or pleading through thin walls of their bedroom. I hated hearing this, and I didn't want my 3 younger siblings to have to witness this as well, so I took it upon myself to distract them with movies or toys. The scariest part was not the arguing itself, it was the unknown of what he would do as a reaction. On a Saturday in February of 2018, when I was 14, I came from rehearsals for a show I was in to see my dad telling me to come up to the media room. When I walked in, all of my siblings were sitting down with my mom, and my dad sat right next to her. They proceeded to tell us that they would no longer be living together, and that it would be a permanent situation. They didn't use the word divorce, but I knew that's exactly what was happening. I knew that the divorce was his fault, and I became mad at him for destroying our family. Nothing changed with him, in fact it got worse. I became the barrier of abuse for my siblings, taking the place of my mom. I felt like I couldn't ever breathe there and would never know when one of us would be in danger. I could never relax because if I did, he could take that opportunity to create chaos. He loved getting me engaged in arguments that would last hours. He would call me into his bedroom asking me how we can improve our relationship, and at the beginning, I was genuinely interested in improving our relationship. I would be honest with him about what he could do better to make me feel safe at his house. He would accuse me of doing things wrong and turn everything I said he could do better into somehow being my problem. Or he gaslighted me. He would make claims that everything I thought about him was my mom brainwashing me, even though she wanted nothing more than for me to have a good relationship with him. He would deflect every point I brought up and could never answer any legitimate questions about why things were the way that they were, or why he could never take responsibility for the things he had done. That's the thing about narcissists. In their mind, nothing can ever be their fault. They can never do anything wrong, and it's always their way or the highway. He would refuse to go to therapy with me, and I would always leave these extensive arguments crying, feeling defeated and exhausted. He would say things like how he was grateful that he didn't raise me because he was disgusted and ashamed of who I'd become. When I was 16, things were worse than they had ever been before, and I hated going to his apartment. I was constantly anxious and on guard even while not at his house. I had lost all faith that we would ever have a good relationship. One weekend in May, after a series of events that were more than abusive and that I don't dare share on camera, my sister and I called 911. The cops filed a police report and CPS investigated. They came and talked to me during school and investigated his house, but because there was no evidence of physical abuse, CPS was not able to do anything. The day before my mom and stepdad's wedding, I received an email from my bio dad letting me know that I was no longer welcome at his house until we had extensive therapy. I was relieved because this is my ticket to never have to go over there again. In June, not even a month after receiving the email, I fell into a huge depression and lost all hope in myself and in life. I couldn't see the point in anything, and I wouldn't get out of bed for hours on end. I remember texting one of my best friends saying something like, "Am I self-imploding? Probably. Do I care? Nope." And I couldn't feel anything but constant pain. I've always been very self-aware and always knew why I felt things, but I could not figure out why I was feeling this or where this source of pain and anguish was coming from. My mom got out pictures of my bio dad and me when I was a baby and made me talk to them as if I was talking to him, and I just released everything that was bottled up in me. And I didn't even realize that this is why I was feeling this way. Afterwards, I safely burned the pictures with a blowtorch in the backyard with parental supervision and watched the childhood I had with him literally burn to ashes and blow off in the wind. After that, I instantly became better and was returning to my normal self, someone I hadn't seen in a long while. I still struggle with my bio dad, and I'm still recovering from the PTSD and trauma. But here's what I've learned in my 12 plus years of abuse. Let your trials teach you and make you the person you want to be. Do I want other people to experience what I've experienced? Absolutely not. Do I want people to learn from my story? Of course. Would I go back and change anything, though? I don't think I would, because then I wouldn't be myself. I wouldn't be strong, independent, empathetic, grateful, or service-oriented. I wouldn't know how to stand up for myself, or how to deal with difficult people, or to be able to help others who deal with abuse. While what I've experienced sucks, it has made me the person who I am today because I allowed it to teach me and to build me up instead of tear me down. Maybe because of my experiences, I can be an advocate for women who are in domestic abuse situations and can bring to light emotional abuse as well as physical abuse. Or I can help friends or other people who go through situations similar to mine who might not have the resources I had, and I can help find them peace and protection. I wouldn't change anything because, while I have a long ways to go, I am proud of who I am now. I am proud of how I survived a narcissist.